evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Grifford Show for your big movie review of the week. Today we're looking at Ready Player One, and Evan is going to tell us all about it.
Yes, I am.
Ready Player One is the latest movie from legendary director Steven Spielberg. The film follows Wade Watts, a young man living in Columbus, Ohio in the year 2045, where everyone partakes in the virtual reality game The Oasis. Things change for everyone, however, when Oasis creator James Halliday dies and announces an Easter egg competition, the winner of which will get control of the Oasis.
Okay, we're going to start off with the main selling point of this movie, which was the ridiculous amount of references. I mean, there's loads, and I hate to say it, but I'm pretty sure I got most of them.
Yeah, I struggled with a few of them, but there were a lot that I felt like quite a lot of them were included just for like, here's a quick joke, let's show this, let's get a quick laugh out of people. But there was a lot of them that really paid off. Even we won't go into it too much, but the second challenge out of the three in the film is completely surrounded around a iconic movie from the 80s.
Yeah,
80s?
I think it's 80s, maybe early 90s.
If it's not, date pop up on screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole challenge is surrounded by that. So when it comes to those,
Sorry.
when it comes to those references, I thought it was fantastic. But when it was like the little ones that were like, let's shove it down these people's faces, laugh at this moment, it didn't quite work. But like you said, there's loads, and it needs multiple watches. This film, just because I lost count of how many I spotted and didn't spot. So
Yeah, and I think due to the amount of references there are in it, this is definitely a movie that appeals to everyone really, because there's references from really far back.
Yeah.
Which obviously it's Steven Spielberg, who's been in the business for probably nearly as long as the business has been running for, and you can tell that his knowledge of the industry and everything else, and his own nerd library of things he can put into it is in there.
It surprised me how they would have gone about getting the licensing for all of these characters.
Yeah.
And it is insane. Which meant that the film obviously had to rely a lot on CGI, and those films where CGI is a big part of it and it doesn't work, it really shows. But this film, obviously large chunks of the movie were CGI, so it had to be good, and thank God it was good. The CGI is outstanding really when you think about how much of it is CGI. The action scenes, yes, some of them are like Mario Kart and drugs, but it's so entertaining, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it has to be CGI because it was it's a game, so it's got that video game aesthetic to it, which really worked, and it meant you got to see a lot of the characters in different cartoon-like personas. I mean, like Ben Mendelsohn, who was just like a bigger, buffer version of himself, a little Superman fringe, he just looked like a big bad guy, which was quite good.
And then even TJ Miller's character was like this big hulking dude with like his body was like a skull. It was really cool.
Yeah, he's I mean, TJ Miller himself, he stole the show. He stole every scene he was in. I mean, TJ Miller has a knack for that. It's just his way, and I think it was a role that was also perfect for him, because he was a character that clearly is a guy who spends his whole life on a video game and has built up a reputation for being good at the video game, which is why he becomes a hired assassin
kind of thing.
Yeah, and he's got the sarcasm that you would find with someone who knows what they're talking about.
Who knows they're good at games and stuff like that. So
he has that arrogance with someone like Ben Mendelsohn's character, who's this businessman who you would never dream of actually saying face to face. He gets that whole, acting like someone different because you're not actually speaking to them face to face perfectly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so as we mentioned before, there's a lot of funny moments in this film. What stood out for you?
Well, I mean, like the references obviously got, especially when you got them, a lot of chuckles.
Yeah.
TJ Miller, as we said before, probably, if not the funniest character.
Yeah.
Along with the main character's best friend, H.
Yes,
H. Came up with great,
good comedic
lines.
timing.
Yeah, a lot of lines, especially during the second
act,
which we're not going to tell you because
But,
we'll spoil it for you.
I think the funniest moments came when you go from Oasis to real world and you see what's happening to the player in the Oasis, and you see what's happening to their human character and how they're reacting to it. Those got the biggest laughs. Like, you know, like a businessman is in a meeting, he's playing Call of Duty, he gets killed and he tries to jump out the window.
That was great.
So,
yeah. And yeah, like you said, there was the big woman pole dancing. Like, you don't see what her avatar is, but you can imagine that she made herself, you know, in her perfect idea of what she wants to look like. And it was also vice versa when things from the outside world interfered with what was going on in game. Which
tell me more.
Yeah, like there's towards the end when the main character's trying to grab something but being interfered, and he's just sort of randomly stumbling about his character. Like the character gets affected by the outside world, which is really good.
Okay, I didn't know where you were going. But I remember. Another really good part about this film, added to the references and like the nostalgia factor, was the soundtrack and the score. Very 80s, very, very cool. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it went on with the whole, especially with the last, you know, like task sets do, which essentially throws you straight into the 80s, especially with video games. And I mean, there seems to be this huge thing with the 80s at the moment. I swear I've heard the same song in 3 films that have come out this year.
What song is this?
I can't remember the name of it. The one that's in the beginning.
An 80s song?
Yeah, the beginning one.
I
can't remember live.
I can't remember. It was last week.
I'll find it out and put it in. Then you'll find But I swear I've heard that same song in like I, Tonya and
everyone's infatuated with the 80s at the moment. It's that whole nostalgia factor is what it is. You know, Stranger Things, very 80s. Help me with another one. I cannot think of another.
Well, I mean,
I,
Tonya, that was like 80s going into 90s. Then you had Eddie the Eagle, 80s again.
But the score overall, and
it was that very synthy, typical
very
80s that you'd get. I mean, even like we said, the second task is based on a movie from what we assume is the 80s.
A bloody fantastic movie, is what it is.
Although this film was, you know, fantastic in general, there's a lot more positives than there were negatives. There are some issues that, you know, ground my gears. You know, for starters, there isn't enough, you know, building of the world. Like, you put in this world, the real world, and you're not really given a reason as to how it's ended up that way. I don't. Well, if they did to say, let's say I wasn't really paying attention.
But no, there isn't any explanation as to how the real world has got to this point where everyone's addicted to this video game. There's a few other questions like, can the money that they earn in the game, can that be spent in the real world? There is a little part where you do see it, but again, I might have missed it, but I didn't look like it was explained. And I just feel, in general, the film kind of falters whenever it is in the real world, and that's probably because Spielberg might not have developed his characters well enough that we care about them as much in the real world as we do as their game avatars. Yeah,
I mean, like, the main character, Wade Watts, he talks about the fact that his parents died and he's living with his aunt, who is not very good with picking men, has a really poor taste in men, and you're sort of sitting there thinking, he's explained this in like 5 minutes and it didn't really affect the plot in any way, and that, you know, it wasn't necessary. It's sort of like it was put in there to be a plot device, you know, a plot device in something else, but it just didn't really work.
No, not really.
Yeah,
so there is a romance in this film, and I feel like it was very forced. I mean, when he gets to the part where he's like telling this girl he loves her, I'm literally sitting there like, all right, mate, keep your virtual pecker in your pants. You just met this girl.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're trying to say, but at the end of the day, he, you know, knew about the character Artemis, which had been created by this girl prior, so knew who she was, and over time has fallen in love with this character, which even Olivia Cook's character brings up, saying when he comes out with the whole "I love you," she's like, "You don't even know me. Why? You don't know anything about me." And he's trying to justify that he does, but she's just like, "You really don't know me." And I think that's the point. Like in these games, I mean, I don't play them, but I can, I've heard that people do fall in love with these characters. They sort of get so engrossed in the world that they, rather than fall in love with the actual person, they fall in love with the character. I mean, I know later on when he meets Artemis in the real world, they still love.
I mean, it's helpful that she's quite an attractive girl as well. He could have got stuck with like
ugly fat person.
Ugly fat guy,
or hairy fella,
big hairy guy.
I mean, they try to make her seem not as attractive because she's got a birthmark on her face. But if you don't want someone to look attractive with a birthmark on their face, don't get Olivia Cook to play that person because she's hot. She's gonna be hot. She could have multiple birthmarks on her face.
No comment.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah. Do this all the time.
I mean, back to the whole real life virtual reality thing again. I mean, that's why we think TJ Miller character worked really well, because his real life persona and stuff was left to your imagination.
Yeah, true.
But I mean, Spielberg would have had to have put in the real life segments, because at the end of the day, it was a virtual reality game.
Yeah, true.
And so it had to be in there. And again, like you said, Ben Mendelsohn's villain you didn't think was too great.
No, I didn't like it. Once again, he has a weird lisp.
Yeah.
It's like his teeth. It's like his teeth are too big for his mouth.
It's almost like if he does any accent that's not his Australian accent, it's like his tongue gets fat or something. It's ridiculous. It's like he's allergic to accents that aren't Australian.
But I just thought he was a typical sleazy businessman, and he was one of those people where it's like, if he couldn't have something, he doesn't want you to have it, kind of thing. He was like that annoying kid you used to play football with. He would come out, bring the ball, and if you were beating him 7-0, he'd take the ball home, and you wanted to go and like throw a brick through his window.
I mean, it was a shame, because it would have been really nice if the villain, because like again, you said he's just a sleazy businessman character. It's almost like he's just in it for the money, and he's not actually any good at video games. Like you got Mark Rylance's character, who was fantastic. He was this recluse, nerd who was in love with the game he was creating, whereas obviously they have Ben Mendelsohn as the counter of that. But I think it would be better if it was someone who knew what he was doing. Yeah. And I think that would have been more of a threat than, as you said, a petulant child who's not getting his own way and hasn't ever had his own way in life.
Yeah. As well as all these points we're bringing up, there was a couple of actresses, young actresses, really could go places. Lulu Wilson, who was in Annabelle Creation, and she was in the very good Ouija sequel, and McKenna Grace, who's recently been in I, Tonya and Gifted, I think, with Chris Evans. These two actresses were literally in it for a scene, and I don't understand why. I mean, you might think, oh yeah, they're just cameos, but why would you get these two very talented young actresses and not use them? I was baffled. But I digress.
We had Ready Player One down as one of our most anticipated movies come out in 2018, and I feel it is one of the best movies to have come out. And the references were great. I mean, it worked for me because I pretty much got all of them. It's great for anybody who likes video games and movies, pretty much. Although we had a few down parts, it didn't ruin the movie. So, and I left the film thinking it was, I was like, wow, that was great. So I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10.
Very high. I mean, it's not a bad movie. Yes, I have a lot of bad points with it, but like Evan said, I walked out of it thinking, my God, I've had a lot of fun in that film. The references are great, and probably the best one goes to a certain good guy. But I'll leave that with you. But I'm going to give it an 8.7 out of 10. Okay, so that was our review for Ready Player One. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? And let us know what your favourite 80s movie is in the comments down there somewhere.
And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button so you can stay all up to date with our videos. And we're also on social media. We appreciate support on all platforms instead of just YouTube.
Yeah, but subscribe please.
Yeah.
That'll help.
Yeah.
Click it. Go on.
Go on.
Do it now.
Do it.
Do it.
We're not leaving until you do. We're not leaving. No, we're going to stay here.
It's gonna be a long video.
Yeah, we're going to stay here. This video is pretty long already.
Click it.
The video's pretty long already. I've got nowhere else to be. I will stay here until you click the subscribe button. Press it!
Week. Today we are looking at the pop culture reference filled bonanza. No, he's out in the top 10, isn't I?
It's definitely one of the best ones out of this spot. Yeah, I think it is one of the best movies that's come out this year. You know, the references were great.
You repeated it, like, come out this year, and it is one of the best ones that come out this year. I feel like we could have done that a bit differently. Do it again.